Good day, everyone. Welcome back to Red Devils Talk. We lost the FA Cup final 2-1 to City, and of course, they are on their way to equalising Sir Alex's greatest ever season by completing a treble. And it is not that particularly that is getting to me the most or got to me the most. It is the way we performed in the final. It is the way how disappointing it was. So many things went wrong, so many things could have been better, but it just seemed like we were not at the races. The players, certain players, were not up for it, and it didn't seem like they knew exactly what this game meant. They weren't there. From 13 seconds in already, that tells you already the problem. Literally, a long ball to Haaland, he wins it in the air, Lindelof heads it straight down, nobody's seeing Gundogan, and he volleys it into the net. That set the tone for the match. Immediately, we knew that it was going to be a much tougher ask. We saw ourselves not having the ball, and when we did have the ball, we didn't know what to do with it. We seemed clueless. There was no connection in our play, and when we did get our chances, we didn't take them. And it's not to say that we couldn't win the game. Mentally, some of our players weren't there. How is it that we were not running, we were not pressing, we were not closing down, we were not tackling, we were at moments allowing City to have the ball to such a degree that we did not want it? And when we did have the ball, as I said, nothing came of it. So how do we account for that disappointment? Ten Hag showed his frustration. He tried to go for it in the end by bringing on the likes of McTominay and Vegas, but how can you go for any type of game to win it with that in the team? How can you actually progress? How can you actually compete if you don't have, first of all, a strong 11 or your strongest 11, and secondly, a lack of fight, a lack of effort? That was poor, in my opinion, and very disappointing. After the ball went in, I thought to myself, that simply isn't the way to go. It became very, very shrewd how we simply let them have the ball in midfield. And this is why I didn't want Eriksen to start. I knew that he was too slow for the pressing that is needed to allow us to break City's play. Fred started, but he certainly couldn't do what he wanted to do, mainly because he was not playing in a favoured position. The likes of Varane, Shaw, etc., Wan-Bissaka had good performances. Lindelof, after that particular mistake, had a decent performance. The second goal we conceded, De Gea should have done better, and again cost us in a crucial game. How many times have we seen De Gea make an error where, or perhaps we say he should have done better, and it cost us in a game, and it happened again. Now, many of you might say you should dive earlier. Many might say that you should wait for the ball to come through the crowd before diving. But the point is, it wasn't a fantastic shot like the first volley from Gundogan. It was savable. Peter Schmeichel, after the game, said that he should have saved it. Even said that if he was playing in goal, he would have done better today, on Saturday. I took the time to breathe, look at the bigger picture, try and come down from this, shall I say, aggression that I had towards winning the FA Cup, because it is a major trophy, and it would have been us stopping City from doing the treble, potentially doing the treble. But the way we had no fight, the way we simply came back in the end by equalizing with a handball that was a handball by Jack Grealish, Bruno putting it away. And it seemed like we had some type of momentum, that it seemed like we were actually going to get into this game, go into the lead, and actually now start playing. But we didn't. The second half came and we conceded so quickly. It was literally deja vu from the first half. And I think at that point, a lot of players dropped their heads, and I think they basically just gave up. Fitness could have been an issue, but it is the mentality. If we had the likes of Martinez playing in the team, the likes of Anthony, we would have had a much better chance of winning City. The mentality would have been there. And this is why some of the players need to leave. This is why the likes of McTominay, the likes of Fred, the likes of Elanga, you're looking at Dean Henderson, you go further on to Maguire, etc. These are players who are, shall I say, optionally looking at leaving or being sold. And that has to be the case. The only way the mentality can be changed at the club is if we change the players at the club and bring in players with the mentality of a Casemiro, of a Martinez, of a Varane, etc. And that does mean we should have and must have a good transfer window. But again, you brings yourself to the question of the takeover. How can we even think of the transfer window when the takeover is not even completed? It is said that Qatar might put in a higher bid. On the other hand, it is said that Sir Jim feels that he will own Manchester United mainly because he knows the Glazers want to stay. And his offer allows them to do that. And if the Glazers stay, it will be a toxic environment. We don't want them to stay. I don't want them to stay. But it looks a lot like they might stay. And that will filter through into the team because we've seen time and time again how they have decided to keep their managers' hands behind their back tied. Managers are meant to break their backs like we've seen in the season with Ten Hag in order to achieve anything. And when they do achieve things like us winning a Carabao Cup, getting third place in Champions League, and being in 2 finals, in his first season at that, with a team that is not his. I read somewhere that it said that only 2 players in our starting 11 for the FA Cup final were Ten Hag signings. 2! That tells you in itself how dire the situation is. That he doesn't have a full strength of his players at his disposal. And that is the reason why some of these players feel the need not to play at their best. What happened to Sancho? I expected a good performance. He had everything to play for, not just the FA Cup itself. But again, he hid away. He didn't allow himself to be better than what we know he can be. And he got taken off for Garnacho, and immediately Garnacho shows an impact yet again. Had a wonderful opportunity and probably should have done better, but we cannot put our hopes on an 18-year-old. We cannot. We cannot put that much pressure on him. He's got bags of potential to be an absolutely world-class player. We've seen it, but we cannot expect him to come on every single game when we need a goal, when we need a moment, for him to do that. There are players on the pitch that should have done that. The likes of Rashford should have done better in the FA Cup final. He, for my own opinion, I feel, has to do more in such games. We know that he can do much in big games, but he has to do it every big game. Be absolutely consistent. And the same goes for Bruno, the same goes for Varane, Casemiro. Every player in the Manchester United team has to play with the mentality of, I want to kill to win. That is the way Martinez plays. It's the way Casemiro plays. But how can they play like that if 90% of the team does not have that mentality? We know for a fact Ten Hag has that ruthless winning mentality. We know that. We've seen him conduct the team. We've seen the tactics. We've seen how he speaks before, after, and even during games. So we know that he is motivating and driving the players to do and extremely exceed. But they don't. Some of them cannot play at that level. Some of them don't want to play at that level. And that is why some of these players need to leave. Again, we cannot look at the transfer window and actually try and change anything. Players need to leave, and players with better mentalities must come through the door. And only then we'll start seeing progression. Only then we'll start seeing us not give up when there are moments for us to go and win a game. We will see better mentalities if we bring in the likes of a Kim Min-jae. I say this because he was the Serie A defender of the season. So that tells you exactly the type of mentality that he has. But we know now the season is done. We only have forward to look to is transfers. And I will be speaking about them all over the next 6 weeks. I will be looking at quite a few things that we potentially can do for next season. I'll be speaking about the players we are linked to, and I'll also be looking ahead to the preseason, which will be starting in July. But all of that and more you can find here on the Red Devils Talk with me, your host Session. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you know exactly when I do upload videos. Enjoy the end of season. I'll always be here to speak about Man United. And of course, on a personal level, I am still feeling a bit down because of our loss, because of what it means in the bigger picture. As I said, City potentially getting the treble, equaling Sir Alex's greatest ever season. That is not something I want to see, but football is football, and we have to respect and give credit where credit is due. But thanks for joining me, guys. Have a wonderful day further. Till we see each other again soon. Bye bye.